something fishy might be going on here, and allow me to make my case for why I think that critics might be reacting unfairly or extraordinarily harsh towards the Sonic the Hedgehog movie. Now, I don't think, going into this, okay, I'll be seeing it a little bit later, I don't think that it's likely that the Sonic movie is a 9 out of 10. Maybe for some super fans, it will be. I don't think it's even likely to be at an 85 or 86 or maybe even an 80. I think the movie will probably be a good 7 out of 10 for everybody and maybe an 8 out of 10 for Sonic fans. I think when you have a movie that's this dedicated to a fandom, it's just going to appeal to people a little bit differently. Some little kid who knows nothing about Sonic hopefully will still be able to enjoy this movie. And early estimations from the box office could be pretty good. That's why I'm going to ask that we spread the word, and we'll use hashtag. We'll just use this hashtag Sonic movie, what they have. Share this video out. Share your pictures of tickets. Share your opinions of the movies. To get it out there, get real people's opinions out on this movie, because the critics are coming in pretty hot. And I'm, to be honest with you, pretty shocked. If I look at some of the headlines, Sonic from BBC. Now, these aren't even people that necessarily would qualify on Rotten Tomatoes, which we'll get into in a minute here too. Sonic the Hedgehog movie. Critics put the brakes on. The reviews are in for the new and improved Sonic the Hedgehog movie, and the critics have been getting their, quote, human teeth stuck in. The trailer was out last May, but Sonic went back to the drawing board, and fans reacted badly to how he looked. Variety said, he has been redesigned to satisfy fans, but no one figured out how to make him fun as he is fast. IndieWire declared, fixing Sonic's terrifying face hasn't made the movie less than a nightmare. Now, if you remember, here's why I think that people may be trying to tank this movie. Two different reasons. One, we've seen what appears to be maybe some jokes or memes, bots saying like, oh, there's bad things in the Sonic movie and you should go see Birds of Prey instead. We know that the critics are butt blasted that Birds of Prey tanked at the box office in the exact same way that Wominator Woke Fate tanked at the box office, in the exact same way the Charlie's Angel reboot tanked at the box office. They said, men, we don't want you. And again, not the company itself, but much of the media around it was writing these types of articles. I've covered endless versions of the exact same article. Either men won't go because they're evil and they won't support a female action film, which is, of course, proven wrong every single time a good female-led action movie comes out, like, I don't know, Wonder Woman. Or they'll say that we don't need men. This is a girl power movie. Well, the women didn't show up. The women didn't show up to see Charlie's Angels. The women didn't show up to see Birds of Prey. And the women didn't show up to see the Wominator T-1000 Dark Fate. They just didn't want to see those movies. See, what Hollywood thinks is that all women are a monolith and that all they need is to see another woman on the screen and they'll go and spend their hard-earned money to see the movie. And well, that just doesn't work. Now, we also know that the critics were unbelievably mad that the director and the production team behind the Sonic movie went back and redesigned it. They called it fan entitlement. They talked about fan service. We've seen other movies get poor reviews with mentions of quote-unquote fan service, which quite simply, we can look at how they did the Star Wars series, right? We look at The Last Jedi, which was critically acclaimed from Ryan Roundhead Johnson, which had a lot of woke stuff in it. The movie is very divisive, but the critics loved it. Then we look at how the critics reviewed Rise of the Skywalker, and we saw this word come up over and over again about fan service, too much fan service. And then they gave it like a 57%, right? Even though the fans miraculously gave it exactly an 86% for 14 weeks in a row. So we have a long history of not only knowing that critics can be unscrupulous and agenda-driven, But we also have seen their own words saying, too much fan service, or, we like this because of inclusiveness and other buzzwords and things like that that don't really sell tickets. And the article continues. The Guardian gave the film 2 stars, noting how dastardly Jim Carrey gives Sonic the blues. The paper's critic Steve Rose wrote, quote, Carrey's mustache-twirling villain is more fun and far more animated than the charmless hero in this derivative caper. The Telegraph wrote, it was similarly unenthused. The video game Speed Freak is slowed down by drab, joyless crawl, wrote Robbie Cullen. Before he was a movie star, Sonic first appeared in the thrill-seeking Sega video games in the early 90s. The New York Times concluded, Sega adaptation hedges its bets. Ben Kenningsberg wrote, quote, improvements to Sonic's appearance haven't done much for the generic script. The film finds Sheriff Tom Okowski, portrayed by James Marsden, befriends Sonic and aid him on his quest to help stop Robotnik. Some found the heartwarming elements to enjoy, though. Sonic the Hedgehog is really a buddy comedy about Tom and Sonic. GameSpot Phil Hornshaw wrote, and it's the best when it leans on that dynamic. He added that Schwartz is the perfect choice for this version of Sonic. Now, if we move over, though, to Rotten Tomatoes, every time I refresh it, it goes down. It started the day at 80%, which I thought maybe was overachieving a little bit. But since then, as more and more reviews come in, it has now fallen all the way down to a 66%. And I predict by the end of the day, it'll probably be in the 50s, which is obviously not what this movie is. Not a 50. All right. There's just no way. I mean, look, okay, there's a chance that I'm wrong. All right. But let's just look at what some of the critics said about it. If we look at just the Rotten scores, okay? Curious performance is Norma Desmond levels of hideous, only without Gloria Swanson's self-awareness. That is supposed to be embarrassing. It's too inoffensive to be hated and too wretched to be enjoyable. Sonic the Hedgehog might move like a bolt of lightning once his feet start flying, but even when the orthodontia done to correct his chompers, the movie bearing his name still goes nowhere fast. I'm just wondering. It seems like a lot of critics are mentioning about the redesign. It's on their mind, even though it shouldn't really matter in terms of how you're grading the review. Sonic the Hedgehog references Olive Garden twice and does so with nary a wink at the camera. I could start and end the review with that sentence. What more do you need to know? And they gave the film a 3 out of 10. Empire Magazine, an on-form Jim Carrey can't stop Sonic's live-action debut from feeling like a missed opportunity. If the T sequels do materialize, here's to hoping the storytelling levels up. A 40%, 4 out of 10. Director Jeff Fowler gives the kids Spielbergisms and scatology. Their parents get gigs about out-of-town weddings. Thank heavens for Carrey. 4 out of 10. Why are you giving these? That review sounds mildly positive. Much like it's redesigned back to the cartoon look, Sonic never really tries to be its own thing. Another shambling 90s IP gets its shot at relevance, but this unfunny and ultimately dull attempt makes you wonder how many talented artists made something so lame. Time out. Sonic's look was famously corrected after the movie's trailer triggered something akin to online panic. Perhaps the fans should have consulted on the script as well. Now, maybe the movie is awful. Maybe. I'm stuck. I'm bound by my word to pay and see this movie because Sonic Jeff Fowler responded to our backlash over the design. And we look at the box office, okay? According to Box Office Pro, weekend box office forecast, Sonic the Hedgehog tracking for possible breakout. Blumhouse's Fantasy Island and The Photograph aim to leverage double holiday frame. Leading the charge will be Sonic the Hedgehog as it aims to reel in both families with young kids and fans from the older portion of the millennial generation. Paramount encountered a sharp criticism of the lead designer, character's design upon the first trailer released last year, but wisely reacted and course-corrected with an appearance more in line with what fans remember from the classic video games. Now, More to the point, the market is ripe for a family-driven film. Only Dolittle has provided such a product since the holiday season ended, and that title, while performing fairly well in terms of audience, did not reach the breakout expectations. Fresh tracking metrics indicate a surge for Sonic as we near release. You guys and gals, if you hated the design, if you took part in that outrage, please consider seeing this movie this weekend. It isn't, for me, as many may put it, it isn't about beating Birds of Prey. I wanted Birds of Prey to succeed, but I'm hoping that Hollywood gets thanked by a slightly better than expected showing, given that they listened to us and they made the change. Now, at this stage, the film is approaching trends comparable to Detective Pikachu. Based on the latest models, the pick has a fair shot at climbing past Ghost Rider, $52 million 4-day, to crack the top 5 President's Day weekends of all time. Could you imagine the salt? Could you imagine the salt if we could make this happen? Could you? We see all sorts of other articles, from MovieWeb. Will Sonic the Hedgehog speed past Birds of Prey at the box office? Last weekend, Warner Brothers unleashed Birds of Prey, which was poised to become the first big comic book hit of 2020. Things didn't go exactly according to plan. While Harley Quinn's spinoff topped the box office with $33 million, it came in well below industry standards. Expectations, I mean. With that, its run atop the box office will be short-lived, as it's going to be a crowded Valentine's Day weekend. Paramount Sonic the Hedgehog, Sony's Fantasy Island, Universal's Photograph, and Searchlight Pictures' Downhill all arrive theaters starting this Friday. Sonic, which serves as a directional debut for Jeff Fowler, is set to take the top box office spot with an opening in the $40 million range. Please do better than that. Please go see Sonic. I think that these critics are being unfairly harsh on the film because they know about the fan service. And if you look at the way they've reacted in the past, this isn't just tinfoil conspiracy stuff. I hope that this movie is at least better than expected. I hope that you have a wonderful weekend, and I hope that the Sonic movie is part of it if you're available and you have the money to support it, because we've got to support directors who listen to the fans. I hope you enjoyed this video. Spread it around. Spread the love. Happy Valentine's Day to you. I'll be in the office all day working tomorrow anyway. Hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.